Hi everyone, I'm Ahana.
And I'm Celine.
And welcome to another news update at the
We Are podcast. So, this news update, we got a couple topics to talk about. So, without further ado, I think we're just going to jump into it. So, I think the first one I'm going to talk about it has to do with, the Afghanistan situation, which we've been talking about for the span of, so many weeks, because it's so complex. So, the U.S. military actually admitted it killed 10 civilians and targeted the wrong vehicle in a Kabul airstrike. That's a pretty large mistake, but I think it is good that they're owning up to it, not necessarily trying to hide it from the general public, right? Because that would be really bad.
I don't think our government, being as progressive as it is, I don't think it's even possible to hide it anymore.
Right, and I feel like it was definitely a mistake, but everyone makes mistakes, right? So it's so much better if you just admit to it. So an investigation made by the U.S. military into the drone strike in Kabul in August found that it killed 10 civilians, and the driver in the vehicle that they targeted with the airstrike was not associated with ISIS-K. So they were trying to target another vehicle with people who were part of the ISIS-K group, which is a terrorist group, but they actually targeted the wrong one. So according to the Ahmadi family, before the strike, drone operators watched the courtyard for 45 minutes, 425, not 45, minutes, and after a little while, a male driver stepped out of the vehicle, and there were also children in the car. That was one of the saddest parts about this. 7 children died in this.
I think something to add is that they can apologize all they want, but a lot of people were saying you can apologize, but you can't bring back the lives that you killed.
And I'll actually get into that and how that becomes political too. So the military said they felt the strike was reasonable. They had reasonable certainty it was the right vehicle, but now they're definitely we need 100% certainty to go on with things like this. We need to make sure it's 100% correct because these are innocent lives that are at stake. So General Frank McKenzie told reporters that the strike was, quote, a mistake, and offered an apology. He said, quote, this strike was taken in the earnest belief that it would prevent an imminent threat to our forces and the evacuees at the airport. But it was a mistake, and I offer my sincere apology. So as we get into this, there's kind of a political side to this because it does not reflect well on Biden at all. Because a lot of people already feel the way he withdrew troops was chaotic and he did not handle it well. So this just makes it so much worse, right? Because innocent people were killed. So, and even in a speech last month before Biden had realized that this airstrike was wrong and it was targeted towards the wrong people, he's hailed the strikes as an example of the U.S. ability to target ISIS.
Oh, that's
yeah. It was, and the White House has not yet commented on the findings that it was wrong, you know.
Okay.
So a human rights group, Amnesty International, said Friday's admission was a, quote, important step toward accountability, but added that Washington needs to take more steps, including paying reparations to family members and survivors of the strike. So I really think it's about accountability, but it's also about making sure that doesn't happen in the future and preventing it in the future and, making sure that these families are provided with the things they need now that they lost someone, right?
Yeah.
So, Brian Kastner, a senior crisis advisor with Amnesty International's Crisis Response Program, said, quote, the U.S. must now commit to a full, transparent, and impartial investigation into this incident. Anyone suspected of criminal responsibility should be prosecuted in fair trial. So investigations are being done more into it, because they want to see where did we go wrong? How did we get this so wrong? So it doesn't happen again, right? They need to make sure this never happens again. So a lot of investigations are being done to see, what the heck happened, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So the next update we're going to be talking about, which is something I've seen all over the news, and it was about Simone Biles giving her statement about the Larry Nassar
So in case you didn't know, Simone Biles is a super famous gymnast who has been in the Olympics for many years. She's super skilled, super amazing. And Larry Nassar, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the physical therapist for, or
I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I
know
But basically, Larry Nassar, he used to be a doctor at Michigan State University.
Oh, okay.
and he was a doctor there, and he was actually proven to have abused hundreds of kids there. But he later went on to be the USA Gymnastics doctor, meaning that whatever injuries that the USA Gymnastics team faced, they would go to him first, and he would like treat them. Not really treat them, but he would be the first person that they go to, and that means like top gymnasts such as Simone Biles, Michaela Maroney, Ali Raisman, and hundreds of other gymnasts were actually abused by that individual. But to give a little background on him, he was a convicted sex offender who abused and harassed many top athletes while being a leading physician on the U.S. gymnastics team. He assaulted all the people I talked about, including Simone Biles, Ali Raisman, Michaela Maloney, Gabby Douglas, and some of which are like gold medalists at the Olympics, so they're like top of the top.
Yeah.
He was sentenced with a bushel of crimes, including sexual assault, human trafficking, and running a criminal enterprise. They were also like charges for him for being involved in child pornography, a lot of sexual abuse scandals, and tainting of evidence, abusing minors, etc.
That's a lot.
Yeah, this is the biggest case of sexual assault in USA Gymnastics history, and he is facing 60 years in jail, which is...
Oh, that's a lot.
I mean, even
he
more,
deserved
probably.
it. Yeah.
He deserves a lifetime in jail, honestly.
Yeah. In 60 years, he's probably... I don't know how old he is, but that's going to be till he's, like, pretty old, you know?
It's going to be till he's dead.
Probably.
Because he's 60 right now.
Oh my god, yeah. Then
He's like 58.
I didn't realize he was that old, so yeah, that's gonna be...
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for a long time, and which I'll talk about right now. So we actually made a news update on this, but
yes.
a report was made by an attorney general that came out that the FBI kind of like covered up things and, quote, failed to respond to the Nassar allegations with the utmost seriousness and urgency that they deserved and required, which basically says that they could have stopped Larry Nassar sooner, but they chose not to, and they made some decisions that halted that process.
That's awful.
It's so sad. And the testimony that Simone Biles, as well as like Michaela Maroney, I think those were like the two major people giving statements. Those statements basically verified that thing and corroborated it. And what they said was that, I quote, blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetuated his abuse. That was Simone Biles. They also said several times how the FBI repeatedly ignored and, like, disregarded things that they said to them, and they were very, like, corrupted in a sense. Because Larry Nassar had a lot of power in that community.
Right,
so
yeah.
There's a lot more to it, but that's the basic gist of it. And she said, Simone Biles said, quote, USA Gymnastics and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee knew I was abused by their official team doctor, but they didn't do anything to help it.
That's awful. The fact that they knew and they're just like, whatever.
As well as the FBI, because I feel like most people think that that's like the
I
most
feel like the
legit
FBI
thing.
is like so trustworthy. Like, I feel like that's just their job, you know? And it just goes to show, like, the flaws we have, even in the organizations that we trust the most, you know?
Yeah. Sucks.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah,
okay. So, FDA vaccine advisors vote to recommend booster doses of COVID-19 vaccine in people 65 and older and those at high risk. So, the booster vaccine is a third dose, and since there have been a lot of breakthrough cases, which are like cases of people who have been vaccinated but still got COVID, people are worried like that the immunity from getting the vaccine decreases over time. So that's why they really want to do a third shot, because it'll give people more protection when it starts to decrease. So vaccine advisors for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration voted to advise emergency use authorization of a booster dose of the Pfizer vaccine. So people would have to wait 6 months after their second dose, so when they're fully vaccinated, to get the booster shot. So this decision actually came after they rejected another proposal, which was to recommend booster shots for everyone over 16. And they decided, we're not going to do everyone over 16 because there's just not enough data and not enough research on the age group with the booster shots yet. And it's just not, it's too soon, you know? So officials of the Biden administration previously announced they had a plan to administer booster doses to the general population by September 20th, which is I'm pretty sure that's the day we're actually posting this.
Yeah.
But many advisors describe the process as rushed, so that's why they're deciding to only recommend these boosters for people 65 or older, people who are at high risk for whatever reason. So Dr. William Gruber, who is the Senior Vice President of Vaccine Clinical Development and Research at Pfizer, said there are many studies showing that the immunity of people who are fully vaccinated decreases, like I said before.
Yeah.
So giving booster shots is a good option. According to him, people who got boosters did not report any other side effects than people who got the first or second dose, so it's not, like, dangerous or bad or anything. And the Pfizer company has actually relied on a lot of data from Israel, and Israel reported that booster vaccinations have actually helped the amount of vaccinations and really helped their country. So we're just, kind of going from their example a little bit. But despite the support that some people may have for this, some people believe it's way too soon. Dr. Phil Krause, who's the deputy director of the FDA's Office of Vaccine Research and Review, said, quote, "One of the issues in this is that much of the data that's been presented and being discussed today is not peer-reviewed and has not been reviewed by the FDA." And along with other FDA vaccine officials, Marion Gruber and the guy I just talked about before, signed a Lancet paper published earlier this week, which argued it's too soon to start giving people boosters. So the CDC has scheduled a meeting of its vaccine advisors for September 22nd and 23rd, which is coming up pretty soon. And CDC must give its stamp of approval for any booster doses to, like, officially be given to anyone in the public. Okay. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly talk about breakthrough cases. Although there are some breakthrough cases, California, let's take California for instance, about 1,600...
Wait, what are breakthrough cases?
Okay, so they're when someone who's vaccinated contracts the virus. Okay. So in California, for instance, 1,615 people have been hospitalized with breakthrough infections, but that is only 0.007% of the state's 22 million vaccinated people. So although there are breakthrough cases, and that's why we're kind of coming up with the idea of a booster, vaccines are still so much better than not being vaccinated. Yeah. So I'm not trying to say, like, oh, they don't protect you at all, like getting 2 doses. Not at all, because believe me, they protect you so much more than not getting it.
Yeah, so, and also I heard that, like, the rate of being, like, hospitalized was, like, less than 1%.
So much lower.
So yeah. If you get vaccinated and you contract it, you're not going to go to the hospital unless you're a very rare part of that less than 1%.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So, all right. That's pretty much it for that update.
All right. So the next update, I'm going to bring a little bit of pop culture into this. And also, by the way, this week had so many interesting news updates. So I'd say this, normally we keep the second half, like, a little bit more boring than the first half. But the second half is going to be really, really interesting this time.
There's this one update I have about, like, this dude who, like, is basically a serial killer, and it's kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah, I have one
it's
about
like
a missing person.
It's like a true crime story, kind of.
Yeah. Anyway, so this update is actually more about pop culture. I thought that would be fun to bring it in.
All right, let's hear it.
So recently, as many of y'all know, the Met Gala occurred. And the Met Gala, which is formerly called the Costume Institute Gala, or the Costume Institute Benefit, was an annual fundraising gala for, like, the benefit of, like, the Metropolitan Museum, which is one of the biggest art museums, and it's in New York City, and it hosts this fundraiser where a bunch of celebrities gather and dress up around the team. Yeah. And it's A-list celebrities, meaning, like, top of the top celebrities.
Ooh. Big ones that everyone knows, yeah.
So they do that annually, and they weren't able to do it because of COVID, and it's typically in the spring, so this year it was in fall, and the theme was American independence. So many showed up to the Met Gala wearing meaningful messages, patriotic colors, extravagant dresses. Yeah. But there was also, like, a couple of patterns and trends that we saw that I think is important to address. So some standout moments were, like, dresses of, like, big celebrities. Did you see Kim Kardashian's?
I haven't. Well, I'm going to look it up real quick.
It is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. People were, like, making memes off her and, like, making fun of her the whole night. It was hilarious.
Okay,
it's literally, like, a head-to-toe black.
Oh my gosh, if you're watching this on YouTube, here you go. That is hilarious. Look it up if you're on Anchor, because it's actually really funny.
There were also some really beautiful dresses, like Billie Eilish's, Kendall Jenner's.
While you're doing this, I'm gonna look at some of the dresses.
Lil Nas X blew up the carpet, which was pretty cool. There was also a lot of stand-up moments were like political moments.
I heard about what's her name, like Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez. She wore a message saying "tax the rich," which is one of like her famous like thing that she vouches for all the time, which basically says that rich people should be taxed more and the poor income people they're like being unfairly taxed, so she's trying to like give that message. There was also like several people wearing traditional indigenous clothing from like Native American culture.
Super cool.
Which they were trying to show as like, this is where America started, this is our culture.
Right.
America's made up of diversity, so this is
we do have
American independence, which I thought was really cool.
Wow.
There was also a big night for Gen Z, because so many new Gen Z celebrities that are kind of like idols to Gen Z were up there. Billie Eilish, Dixie D'Amelio, Addison Rae, which are TikTok stars.
Oh, yeah. I think they're really popular, especially with the Gen Z population.
As well as Olivia Rodrigo, which is a new upcoming pop star. So
all right.
That was really cool about the Met Gala. I also have a small update about pop culture with tennis. So this was a big thing because for the first time since 1999, there was an all-teen U.S. Open women's final, which is
what does that mean? Can you explain that a little bit?
So the U.S. Open is a Grand Slam tournament, which is like the biggest tournament there is in like tennis. And they've split them up into men and women, obviously. But this was the women's final. And the people in the final were both teenagers, which hasn't happened since 1999. Which is really cool because that kind of shows how much power like teens have now in the community.
We have an impact,
Yeah. So the winner was Emma Raducanu, who she went to like 2 Grand Slams night before and she didn't make it past any important round, I think. And she really had to fight to like make it even to the main draw, which is like where most of like the higher athletes go. But she won in straight sets, and she won $3.4 million in
That's a lot of money, dang.
So this was really cool because she's such a rookie. Like this is like a rare occurrence.
Wait, what is a rookie? I don't know what a rookie is.
A rookie is like a novice, like someone
new to the game. Okay.
Not even new to the game, just new to like the spotlight, which you can imagine because she's
yeah.
So yeah,
I see what you're saying.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
That's that.
I have one more update before we go on to the second half. Do you think that's good?
Yep.
All right. So, France recalls ambassadors. So, let's just say some countries have been getting in a little bit of an argument fight. So, Australia had in the past struck a deal with France, basically providing Australia with conventional and diesel-fueled submarines. So, they made this deal, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're friends, we're allies, right? But then, Australia decides, no, I'm dropping out of that deal, and I want to strike a deal with U.S. in the UK. So, France is like, no, we're mad. You betrayed our trust. You betrayed us, basically. So, on Thursday, a nuclear-powered submarine deal with the U.S. and UK was released, and Australia formally announced it would be withdrawing from its deal with France and joining the deal with the U.S. and the UK. So, France was just very mad about this because they're like, they lost a lot of money from this, from Australia withdrawing, and also it's just like, if you say you're going to be part of a deal and then you withdraw to go to another deal, I guess they were just betrayed. French Foreign Minister Jean Yves? I don't know.
I don't know.
Le Drian. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Said he was, quote, angry and bitter about Australia's new submarine agreement. I don't know why this is kind of funny to me.
They're salty over submarine.
Angry and bitter. So, he said, quote, this isn't done between allies. It's really a stab in the back. The American choice to exclude a European ally and partner such as France from a structure and partnership with Australia at a time when we're facing unprecedented challenges in the Indo-Pacific region, whether in terms of our values or in terms of respect for multilateralism, I pronounced that wrong, based on the rule of law shows a lack of coherence that France can only note and regret. So the French government has recalled its ambassadors to the U.S., so basically sending a foreign ambassador to the U.S. For consultation in the agreement between the U.S., Australia, and the U.K. So, National Security Council spokesperson Emily Horn for the U.S. said, quote, "We have been in close touch with our French partners on their decision to recall Ambassador Etienne," I'm so bad at names, "to Paris for consultations. We understand their position and will continue to be engaged in the coming days to resolve our differences, as we have done at other points over the course of our long alliance." So, U.S. officials actually defended the deal and defended Australia joining the deal. And both the Americans and the Australians have indicated that the French government was not blindsided by this. And they kind of hinted at it before, basically. And Australia also said, like, it's nothing against you as a country. It's just, like, this decision was made in the best interest of our national security. So.
Okay. That's
still, people are mad, so.
I guess get mad over submarines.
Submarines. You know what? Submarines cause arguments, okay?
Yeah. Anyway, that's our first half.
All right, thank you.
Our second half will be so interesting because we're going to be talking about murders and people trying to get money.
Welcome to True Crime Today. I don't know what that was.
And we're going to talk about Gabby Petito, which is all over the news.
I don't know who that is.
She went missing. Missing case.
Ooh, okay.
All of our sources will be linked in the bio, but we'll see you in the next half.
Bye.
Welcome back from the break.
Hello. All right. So, second half. What?
Let's
second
start
half.
it off.
All right. So, what do you feel like starting with? Like, what should we start with?
We should start with Gabby Petito because that's
All
probably
right.
the most important.
And then we can go into the other
We
one
honestly
about,
probably should have done. I probably should have done Gabby Petito in the first half because she's more important than anything else I said, but I didn't for some reason.
That's all right.
That's
It's
okay.
all right. No worries.
Basically, Gabby Petito is a 22-year-old who was reported missing by her family over the weekend after she had been traveling with her boyfriend. And
oh no!
her boyfriend is super sketch, by the way.
Okay, it's always like the spouse or the boyfriend
Literally.
or the partner, like,
or like
every
the mother-in-law.
Yeah, it's always some sketchy person that's like related in like.
Yeah.
Are you good?
I'm good. Okay. I choked on my own spit, but that's okay.
Good for you.
Anyway, so basically, her boyfriend's name is Brian Laundrie. So he actually returned to the pair's North Florida home earlier this month without Miss Petito and is now refusing to talk to authorities.
That's so sketchy.
They have like pleaded with Laundrie. Petito's family, the girl, her family has been talking about it, and they do not trust him at all. There was I think recently, but after I did this news update, I think he like supposedly went missing and like but her family
went missing too.
Yeah, but they say he went into hiding.
Yeah, I think so.
So
probably
that was the thing. But she's 5'5", 110 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes, several tattoos. And they have set up like a hotline, which we will put in the bio, but it's 1-800-CALL-FBI to receive tips on the case. So I'm going to talk a little bit about like the timeline of what happened. So in June of 2021, the Northport office chief, Todd Garrison, said in a briefing that Petito and Laundrie, who Garrison described as the woman's fiance, so they're engaged, embarked on like a cross-country trip. And they traveled in Petito's white van out into the West Coast and visit like several national parks and stuff. She said that she actually shared her story on social media because she actually had a pretty like big social media following on like YouTube and stuff. And she like contacted her family, but her family said that abruptly contacted stopped around August. So, in August, they sort of, officers were described as having them, like, engage in some sort of altercation when they had an encounter with them on August 12th. And they were described as getting into a physical fight following the argument. So, they said that this could be, like, a motive for kidnapping or, like, hiding the girl, which possibly could make sense. They separated for the night, and they had their own cell phones in case of emergency, the report added. But in the last week of August, the Petito's family told police they were last in contact with her in the last week of August. But before that last communication, Petito has been said to believe in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. But recently there was also another news update that came that she also came in Colorado for a brief moment before she went missing. And by September, Laundrie returned to the home without her, and in the white vehicle that they had, and it was later recovered by police at the home. And there was some material in it after it was processed by police. So there's a lot of stuff to this. And after not being able to get in touch with her, Petito's family, who's in New York, reported her missing to the county. So this is a very deep.
I forget. Isn't there something if you're missing for more than this amount of time, then you're pronounced legally dead, right?
Yeah, I think it's it might be 2 weeks or something.
48 days, I thought, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
You can Google. I actually didn't look into that, but
but I know it's some period of time. But
so.
Oh, jeez.
I
think it's pretty obvious though. But here's the thing: even if you 100%, you're it was this person. You need thorough evidence, and you need physical evidence. It can't just be circumstantial evidence. You need physical evidence.
Yeah. So as of September 17th, which was yesterday, after the day we're filming this, several days of both Petito's family and the police pleading with the Laundrie's family to cooperate, they request the police to come on their home on Friday, where they share that they haven't seen Brian since Tuesday, which is her boyfriend. So they've been trying all week to talk to his family, to talk to him, and they've called us here on Friday, said, quote, Taylor told CNN's Chris Cuomo, it's just another twist in the story. So there is just... They don't know where either of them are. Gabby Petito's family, like I said earlier, believe that he is not, quote, he's, quote, not missing, he is hiding. And
I think it's sketchy that he goes into hiding right after her, unless they were part of the mafia and someone's chasing both of them down or something. But I highly doubt that, so... I
feel like this is something straight out of a movie, so it's really weird and
the whole situation just seems sketchy. I feel like it could have not been the boyfriend, but also,
Gabby Petito's family is very skeptical of him. So.
Yeah. I feel like the family's always skeptical of, the spouse or partner, because it's they're the first person you would think of.
Boyfriend. I think especially since they were engaged, I feel like it's...
And I feel like that's always the first person you think of. The person they're married to or engaged to or dating, Yeah. Okay. So now I actually have another, criminal case. So Robert Durst is found guilty of first-degree murder.
I saw that.
He has also been accused of killing, 2 other people, but he was acquitted for another one, and another one he's just suspected, but it's kind of pretty obvious.
Yeah. So, this dude, could you talk a little bit about him?
First I'll talk about, who is this dude?
Yeah.
So he is the son of New York City real estate agent Seymour Durst and head of the Durst Organization, which is a family-run real estate company. He's super wealthy, and his family's super wealthy.
Loaded.
He is loaded. I was listening to a podcast about him, and they were like, yeah, he's rich. He's very rich.
Loaded.
So, he seems pretty normal, though. A real estate company, in a real estate company with his family, right? Seems pretty normal. No. So, a Los Angeles jury found Robert Durst guilty of first-degree murder for murdering his best friend, Susan Berman, over 20 years ago. He was accused of shooting her at the Beverly Hills home in 2000. Okay, let's give a little background. First, I'm going to talk about his wife first, because it's kind of connected into the best friend. Okay. So, Robert Durst, his wife, was Kathleen McCormick, and she went missing in 1982. Okay, so Durst says he has nothing to do with his wife's disappearance, but he is suspected to be a part of it. So, on the evening of January 31st of 1982, Kathy left her friend's house, and Robert called her while she was at her friend's house, and people said she looked upset after the call. So she was going to go home and talk to him, and they apparently had gotten into an argument about, commuting to school, and also prior to her disappearance, she told him she wanted a divorce and wanted $25,000 in a settlement from the divorce.
Okay, that's really sketchy.
Right. So, and the doorman even said he saw the wife walk into the apartment, but then he was later like, I can't confirm it. It was like probably someone else. But along with this, she had also told friends he was abusive to her. So there are a lot of signs. And then suddenly after they get into an argument, suddenly she disappears.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
And then here's where the best friend comes in. So Susan Berman was going to like talk to the police about the wife and the situation and stuff she knew the day she was killed. So like that's sketchy. So like if she knew something about him having something to do with the disappearance of the wife, and he was scared she was gonna go tell the police like it was him or he had something to do with it. So he shot her so she wouldn't be able to speak. Like that's at least what people are thinking.
This news updates is literally straight out of a movie.
I know, right? That's what people are thinking. Like to silence her so she can't, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really sketchy. And along with this, there was no physical evidence that what's his name? Oh my gosh. Durst, yeah. Durst was the one who really killed Berman, but there were so many like things leading up to it, and there was also prosecutor Habib Bailan pointed to one of the state's strongest witnesses, a longtime friend of both Durst and Berman, Nick Chavin, who testified the defendant had told him it was him, it was her or me when he was referring to Berman. I had no choice. So like, yeah. If he said that just sounds really like...
So, did he plead guilty?
No, he pleaded innocent.
And he said that.
Yeah. Okay, along with this, so there was a show made about him in 2015 called The Jinx, which was about all these different things happening in his life and piecing them together. And in like one of there is off-camera footage of Durst talking to himself, so I don't think he realized he was being like recorded, and he said, quote, some people... Oh, wait. There it is. You're caught. What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course. Like, that's really sketchy. He said that when he didn't realize he was being recorded. He's like, killed them all. Like, okay, dude.
Bro.
Okay, so on top of this, he was also charged and acquitted of the murder and dismemberment of his neighbor in Texas. That's like 3 people. Like, at this point...
This is douche.
So, what does it take to be a serial killer? How many... isn't it, like, more than 2 people? Or more than 3? I don't really know. But, yeah, so... there was also this cadaver note, which was a cryptic letter sent to police with Berman's address and the word cadaver in caps that led detectives to her body. So, they suspected he was the one who, like,
I wonder why it took this long.
Yeah, I think... I'm really not sure. That's a good question.
Oh, serial killer is at least 2 people, so 2 or more.
So, again, he's only actually charged with killing 1 person, but I honestly think the other 2.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The wife, I feel like. There's so much circumstantial evidence, and that's the thing. You need physical evidence, too.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Sorry, getting carried away.
The last one is also another killing one.
Oh.
Kind of fun. Not a last one, but the last killing
We're turning
one.
into a crime podcast.
Literally, that would be so fun. I was thinking that for a Fun Day Friday, we could do, like, crime episodes.
That would be so fun. I honestly am really interested in
If you guys want to hear that,
please let us know, because we would be totally down for it.
That would be so fun. Okay, anyway. A South Carolina lawyer actually arranged for a man to kill him so that his son could collect $10 million in life insurance. Yeah.
What?
I'll get into it.
Okay, so this dude told his son to kill him just so his son could have life insurance?
Yeah, but it's
okay.
a little...
Explain.
It's pretty interesting.
We really need some explanation.
Basically, his name is Alex Murdaugh, and he is 53, and he also survived, like, a September 4th shooting, which happened months after, catch this, unsolved slayings of his wife and adult son.
Unsolved what?
Slayings, like so So basically, her son Margaret and his wife Margaret and his son Paul were found early in the summer dead near dog kennels on the family's hunting property in Colton County, west of Charleston.
This is dark.
So their deaths have been classified by state investigators actually as a double homicide, but they don't know who it is. So, like, that's pretty sad. And a homicide, by the way, is the killing of
another. I thought it was just like another person, right?
Yeah, just the killing of another person. It's like a general legal term. But after this, this Murdaugh, Alex Murdaugh, which is the husband and like the person we're talking about right now,
right?
He was very distraught. He called dispatchers and he wanted them to get there, but after they were claimed dead, he like went into like depression. He was also like addicted to opioids apparently. And opioids, if you didn't know, are extremely addictive drugs that can be prescribed as pain medication.
Yeah, they're very addictive.
They're bad news. And he really was devastated. And because of this, he actually hired this hitman man who was Curtis Edward Smith, who's 61, and he told him to shoot him, and so in hopes that his son would collect this insurance money, because he didn't want to live anymore, and he thought the best way to do this was so that my son will get money.
Oh, so his son benefits from it, but like, oh my gosh.
And his attorneys, Harputalon, told NBC's Today Show that his client was trying to get off opioids and he was trying to get off over the deaths of his family members when he became depressed. And this was like something that on his part to protect his child. And in a written statement, another attorney claimed that Murdaugh thought this was his only option and he was very mentally ill.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been like feeding into his addiction. And he was just very depressed, and they said that he was cooperating really well with the attorneys, and he actually just needs help. That's what they're saying, basically. But in terms of the dude who was assisting the murder, I mean...
Was it a lawyer? Or, wait, who was it?
It was a hitman.
Oh, a hitman, yes.
Well, the lawyer was the one who wanted to be killed. He was the one who hired someone to kill him.
Oh!
But this hitman, Curtis Edward Smith, he was the one he hired to kill. So, like, he was gonna kill the lawyer.
Okay, so the lawyer is the dad.
The lawyer is the dad, and he wanted to die, and he hired this dude to kill him. So, he was arrested on charges of assisted suicide, assault, a battery with a high aggravated nature, pointing and presenting a firearm, insurance fraud, and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, according to the South Carolina State Law Enforcement. And so...
So the dude's still alive, though?
He's
alive.
Lawyer.
Okay.
It was a failed attempt. And also, he was also arrested on distribution of methamphetamine and possession of marijuana, so he was kind of illegal to begin with. So that's I guess you wouldn't have someone who's, like, a perfect person be your hitman.
Right, I mean, you have to have, like, very immoral qualities of some sort to just be like, oh, sure.
I'll kill you if you give me
money, totally. But, I mean, I do kind of feel bad for the lawyer, dude. I mean, like, because...
Yeah. Anyway, that's that update.
Alright, so, are you ready to move on? Okay.
Yep.
So, the next update has, like, nothing to do with, like, anything we're just talking about at all. It's, thousands gather under bridge in new migrant crisis for Biden. So, first of all, I'm just going to talk about, like, what are migrants and, like, how are they different than immigrants? So, migrants are people who migrate or move from one place to another, like, for example, Haiti to the U.S. So, they're different from immigrants because immigrants always cross an international border, so they always have to move between countries, while migrants can either move from one region to another or one, like, international border to another. So, like, you could be a migrant if you moved from, like, one part in, like, Kansas to, like, another part, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Wait, so all migrants are immigrants, but not all immigrants are migrants?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or wait. No, not all migrants are immigrants.
That's what I said.
Oh, wait, yeah. No, just don't listen to me, okay?
Wait, did I say that?
I don't know. I'm too confused.
Okay, anyway.
Let's just
never mind.
pretend. Okay, so, also, immigrants are always moving somewhere permanently, whereas migrants can either move somewhere permanently or move somewhere temporarily. So basically the term migrant is more of a loose term for basically someone who's just, moving somewhere. So these migrants, they're, hold on. Okay. So thousands of migrants have gathered under the bridge that connects Del Rio, which is in Texas, to Ciudad Acuna, which is in Mexico. So the bridge is called the Del Rio International Bridge. And Bruno Lozano, who is the mayor of Del Rio, said that on Thursday evening, 10,503 migrants were under the Del Rio International Bridge. So to get into the U.S. from Mexico, they have to, go through all this border security and all this different stuff, right? So they're just stuck under this bridge, and there are very bad conditions. There are such small amounts of food and water, and temperatures have risen to 99 degrees. And, by the way, most of the people who are coming into the U.S. and are under the bridge and facing these conditions are from Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba. And Val Verde County Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez said, quote, Border Patrol is overwhelmed. They just can't process them fast enough, so there's a backlog of these individuals underneath the bridge. They're not detained, they're just gathered there waiting to get their turn to get processed. So, it's kind of like the system is moving so slowly. There's so many people under this bridge at this point in time. And this really reflects on the humanitarian crisis that Biden is facing and his administration has been facing. Border arrests have been reaching 20-year highs. Authorities have arrested over 195,000 migrants at the Mexican border in August. And this could pose a health threat with COVID. Although these people aren't being arrested, the ones who are under the bridge waiting, it's still a lot of people packed in one area, so COVID-19 can spread a lot easier, along with other diseases. And Lozano, the mayor of Del Rio, also said this much foot traffic could lead to terror attacks. Oh. So Ernesto, who is a 31-year-old migrant from Haiti, said he actually had to slip back into Mexico on Thursday to buy water and food, which was the first time this week he had to do that because apparently he and his 3-year-old daughter had not been fed at the camp, which is where they're waiting to get into the U.S. That's really hard. That's sad. Jeff June, a 27-year-old Haitian who was reselling water bottles for 15-cent profit, said he and his young family were exhausted, hungry, and sleeping on the ground. He fretted about his kids falling ill in the makeshift camp. He said, quote, my 10-year-old asks, when are we leaving? He's always asking that. That's really sad.
That is sad.
On the other side of this, a lot of people are, mad about this, saying, oh, my God, there's so many people here. We need, better border security or,
Get rid of these bridge people.
Yeah. So Greg Abbott, who's the governor of Texas, has directed the Department of Public Safety and the Texas National Guard to shutter 6 ports of entry along the southern border, which means to close these ports of entry so less migrants can get in. Wow. Because he's we need to stop these caravans from overrunning our state. So
that's sad.
Yeah, and then there are the people who say they feel abandoned by the federal government in regards to border security. One person said, quote, are they doing anything to stop them from coming? So a lot of people are there are way too many people and yeah.
Anyway.
Alright, so that's that.
The last update for this week is about the California recall election.
I've heard a lot about that, but I don't actually know anything about
it. Sorry. I was supposed to do an update about this last week, but we had homecoming, so we
were so incredibly rushed.
We skipped that. Anyway, basically the recall election was something that was happening because Gavin Newsome, who was the Democratic governor of California, people were upset with them, and this recall petition was introduced in February of 2021 before the sorry,
you're good.
I'm dying. Anyway, before the COVID-19 pandemic took hold in California. And the reason stated in the recall actually didn't have anything to do with the coronavirus until it happened, and then it had a lot to do with the coronavirus. But basically,
wait, what is a recall though?
A recall is really where they want to redo an election so that hopefully sitting governor can get overthrown by another governor.
Oh, okay.
Because they're unhappy with the way he's running things.
That makes sense.
And that can happen. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. And the reason it was happening was because he endorsed foreign nationals in our country illegally over that of our own citizens. They suffer higher taxes, higher homelessness rates, lowest quality of life. He has imposed state status and fails to enforce immigration laws. He has unilaterally overruled the will of the people regarding the death penalty. He seeks to impose additional burdens on our state by the following: removing the protection of Proposition 19, rationing our water use, increasing taxes, and restricting parental rights. That was the quote of the petitioner's grievances. And that's a lot to unpack here, but basically what they're saying, they're upset about immigration, they're upset about the way he's taxing people and distributing property, and especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, people are super mad. They said he was too slow to reopen companies, and he was too strict with the rules. He wasn't, on the other side, some say that he wasn't strict enough, and he lacked enforcement.
So basically people don't like him.
Yeah, on both sides, honestly. And they said that he was not good in terms of, like, being someone who can direct that state. So that's why people are upset. But he actually, during the recall election, he actually survived, and he continues to be the mayor.
Wow.
And actually, 64% of the California residents say that they want him in as the governor. They don't want to recall him.
Okay, that's a fair deal.
Yeah. And so, as 80% of the votes were counted, 64 said that they are against recalling Newsome, and that's basically he survived. And this was a huge victory.
That's a pretty big deal, I feel like.
It was a huge victory for him, but also for President Biden, because he wanted as many Democrat governors as he can.
Right.
As many
and also for the people that do support Gavin Newsome, that is a victory for them, too.
Yeah, it was a big victory, and I think it goes to show that California will never be undemocratic.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right.
But it's good for them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good for Gavin Newsome. I don't know that much about him, but,
Yeah, he's an interesting person.
All right. So, is that everything?
That's everything for this week. All of our social media will be linked in the bio.
Do you have fun news, though?
Oh, yeah. Let me talk about social media.
Okay, yeah.
And then we'll talk about fun news, because I forgot about it. Anyway, so all of our social media will be linked in the bio. Check out our email and our website, and let us know if you have any news that you want us to cover or any other episodes. Follow us at weare_youth.org on most social media platforms, including Instagram, and
check out our website.
All of our sources will be linked in the bio, and the hotline for Gabby Petito will be linked as well. So check those out if you want more information.
Right, and thanks.
And the news. Happy news. Happy news for me. Fall. I love fall. It's the best season.
Spring's my favorite season.
I hate
Spring's
my least favorite
Everyone thinks I'm, insane for liking spring, but I love spring.
Spring's my least favorite season. I love
spring.
Fall.
Summer, I don't know.
I used to hate summer. Now summer's okay, too.
I don't know. It really just depends, I feel like.
But I love fall. Fall is, to me, fall is, the land of, murder mystery and pumpkin.
Okay, fall has a certain feel to it. This certain, cozy
It gives
feel.
me, story vibes. It just gives me,
yeah,
story.
I feel like fall's the most cozy season. Summer's the most, hot. I just think of popsicles, sitting down and reading, and, hiking.
Fall gives me such book vibes. It reminds me of a story.
No, I think of book vibes for summer.
If I walk outside during fall, I literally think I'm, in a movie. I
don't know. I think of, and then spring just gives me, magical...
Fall is... I don't know. Anyway, that's
all right.
My good news. What about yours?
I actually babysat for the first time. That's my good news today. So that was really fun, actually. So,
yeah.
First time having a job.
I dog sit, and that's great.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. So,
all right.
Thanks for listening.
Catch us later.
Bye. Bye.